Hey everybody, thanks for joining us for another episode of Bagels with Zaegel, where we're just taking a little 2-minute bite of what's going on in our lives during this pandemic. Today is Wednesday of Holy Week, and these next several days ahead are all about suffering, dying, and rising. New life. There are plenty of things that frustrate me about institutional religion, but what I love most about Christianity is that right at its core is this teaching of suffering, dying, and rising. And it's not just this thing that happened to Jesus 2,000 years ago, but it's something that happens to you and to me all the time. Rarely do we grow into somebody new. Rarely do we find new life without going through some suffering and hurting and loss and letting go, certain things coming to an end in our lives. Now, usually when we celebrate Holy Week, it's easy just to think ahead to Easter and family and food and bright dresses because we know it's coming. We know Sunday's going to come. It's going to be Easter. This Easter's going to be a little bit different, but normally when we celebrate Easter, we know those Easter celebrations are going to happen and we look forward to it. But in the midst of this pandemic, in the midst of any suffering and dying in our lives these weeks, let's be attentive to that, to those experiences and to those feelings. But let's also have that same trust that resurrection's going to come. That new life is going to come. New life that was never possible had each of us not gone through whatever hurts and losses we might be going through these days. Suffering, dying, and rising. It's happening all the time in our lives. It's written into every corner of creation, including my life, including yours. The sufferings and dyings of our lives are never the end of the story, never the final chapter. If we're open to it, I guarantee you, there's always resurrection and new life to be found. Suffering, dying, and rising. Have a great Holy Week, everybody.